ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too.
Hey, hello there guys, I hope you can hear me okay. Oh, Brian Harris, thanks for joining the stream so quickly. It's been a while since I've done one, so bear with me, I'll probably make some terrible blunders. The first thing I should do though is apologise for the thumbnail. I put up the wrong thumbnail. That's Rex Aviation from Australia, but obviously we're flying in Japan. It's JAL with Saab. Okay, today's, as I've mentioned, today's flight is between Osaka and Kagoshima. I think, without looking at Simbrief, it's just a bit over an hour and a half, I think. Unfortunately, I've closed down Simbrief, which only gives you so much information for the Saab. The main thing is, so let's go up to our weight, and I did make some notes here. So the block fuel is going to be in pounds, 3659. Yep, 3659. Oh, what's this in? This is in metric. Yeah, hang on. That's better. Okay, 3659. You can't get this exactly right sliding it, but a little bit over doesn't hurt. And our gross weight is 28. I'm going to leave it at 28208. And that's done. So we're loaded up with our fuel. Okay, next thing I do is just get my controls here. We'll hook up some external power support. GPU goes on, and we're going to take all these witches hats and covers away for the moment. The GPU's over on the starboard side. And I'll get rid of this. Okay, so I've got GPU up and running. Let's go inside, and what we can do is get some power. We'll get the external power hooked in, and we'll put our batteries on. We'll reset this straight away. I'm going to put the emergency light already, and I'll shut that sound down. It's just our warnings. Back up here again, we'll put our nav light on, and also we're going to put on our instrumentation. External power showing there on the generators. I'm going to put the recirculating air on. So we don't have to touch anything up here just yet. Now, today's flight is going to be at flight level 180. Just got to keep scrolling with this, Okay, now just while we're inside and everything's firing up, I'm just going to move the yak out of the way. I've got active sky up. Looking at the briefing, and we're going to see what our Q&H is already. And it's between 1022, so we'll set that. Here's something I only just found out. It took me ages. Was even though it's in inches here, you can change it to hectopascals just by pushing the button and putting in, what was it again, 1022. And what we should do is the right hand side one as well. There, for some reason, the first officer's altitude is got both megapascals and inches. Why they didn't do it on the other side, I don't know. Okay, so we've got that in. Everything's cooking nicely. Now we'll go ahead and what I also like to do now is to get our, before we start loading passengers and that sort of things, we'll get our Garmin up and running. Okay, we go to flight plan, and now there's our ACO code for Osaka. Now I've already loaded the plan from the sim brief. Go down and find it. Where are we? To RJFK, that should be the one. Hit enter. And straight off, we can do our departure. Now, according to SimBrief, it was runway 32 left, and transition was Tiger 2, which you can see here already. So we'll go down there. It should automatically choose a runway 32 left with that departure. It didn't give me a choice, but it's 32 left. Hit enter. Why did it give me another one? I think I've got vectors here. Not to worry. There we go. I've got a few vectors and intercepts to Tiger. We'll worry about that when we depart. Flight plan can go back in again. Bring that out. You see where it's giving us a bit of an indication of the runway, which way we're going to be taking off. I'm going to put that over to GPS straight away so I don't forget later. Okay, we've got the flight plan in, and let's go outside and get a few things ready. First off though, I'm going to open up our passenger entry area. And we've got to drop the stairs. Okay, outside we go, and I've got this particular hatch at the luggage compartment here assigned to my joystick, but sometimes it doesn't work, so if it doesn't, I can switch over to the keyboard. In fact, I might even do the keyboard. That's the hatch lock there, and we go over to that, and it should bring up the door, which means now we can bring the ground handling in. While they're coming in, I'm going to slip inside again and just get a few things ready for our departure. I'm going to put the air on. Look at our HSC. We'll put that to stand. We'll leave that at standby at the moment, and then leave the 2270 in there. We're not using ATC today. ATC in Japan out on this time of day. Everything else here is okay. Alright, and those we've got the beacon on, seeing that we've got cargo being loaded up. Now, assuming our passengers are boarding. We can put our seatbelt signs on. You can stay up at the moment, and it's looking good. Okay, let's oh no, he's still loading some cargo there. We'll let him finish. Yeah, that's how that looks like the last of it. Get them to drive away, and I can close that hatch and lock it, and we can also close our front entry, bring up the stairs, push them out of the way, move our jump seat, close our door, lock it, and lock that one. All done. Now let's check everybody's out of the way. Now you notice I've still got the GPU running, because we are going to use the GPU to start up our engines. This aircraft, you can actually start the engines on the battery, but in this case I'll use the GPU. I might just get rid of these ground handling altogether. Got a bit noisy, and we just hide them on. That makes it a little bit quieter. Okay, now we're done. We'll bring up our controls, or what they call here the TQ status viewer. The other thing, I've got this assigned to my joystick to make it a lot easier, and you can bring it up, keep it out of the way. The other one I've got assigned is our course heading, our two course and heading knobs, and while I'm here I can just check to see what the direction of the runway that we're taking off. In this case it's runway 32 left, and just looking at a little map to one side here, the runway direction is, as that plane moves over, it's 323. So up the top you'll see the heading will show up for you as we turn the knob. You can't drag it, you've got to scroll it unfortunately, so it can take a bit of time. 323. There we go. So that's our heading set. We finished with this one. Getting back to this particular one, the TQ, what do they call it again? Yeah, the TQ status. What we've got to do is make sure we set our throttle onto ignition idle, or ground idle, sorry, and our ignition levers come on to start the engines. push that out of the way for the moment because now comes the time to start. Everything looking okay there. Okay, to start, again just checking everything is okay. We turn off our instruments and we start the left engine first because the guys are still with the GPU. Hold it down, let it go, and we come down to here to watch the engine temperature climb to light everything up. And it should go back. Engine revs are up too. Just looking here, we've got our trim already in the green, so there's probably no need to change that much. And engine temperature comes back to stabilise. And we put our generator on the left engine. Check outside. Like everything's right there, so back in we go, and we can disconnect the GPU and move it all together here. Okay, so left engine is up, our GPU's out of the way. Now we should be able to start the right engine. We leave our bleeds here, high pressure's on, closed for the moment. Go down and check our engine temperature for the right engine and the revs. The temperature will come back down and stabilise. And back down it goes. Now we can get the right generator online, and that should go out in a minute, and the bus tie connection should go out as well. There they go. Now we can switch this, our DC electric power over to generator. Before we load, we've got to take our pitot off standby. These lights will eventually go out. What you can hear, of course, is the hydraulics, and we should just check those very quickly to make sure they're all right. Although they won't show, they'll be showing off here until such time as the engines are revved up. And now that the revs and everything is settled down, we can push our ignition lever forward to max. Okay, now that everything's running, we can put our instruments back on again. Notice all our lights have gone out now. Instruments are up. We've got to restart the Garmin now, unfortunately. And that's ready to go. We're going to go to set our CTOD percentages here. probably should have done this earlier. There we are. So we're going to be going down, it looks like a fairly long taxiway down to the 3-2 left. And we're sitting here, so we're probably going to have to back and do a left turn and come back across and maybe down here. While we're here, we'll have a quick look at the departures. They're getting too involved. We're doing the Tiger 2 departure. So we'll be taking off from this direction, swinging around, coming back and lining up with the Tiger transition and on to Wachi. Okay, so let's go back here. If we need it, we can bring it up. Okay, fix the steering and we can take the brake off. We can bring up our yoke, check our yoke. I can move it out of the way, foot pedals. And our taxi light will come on the strobe yet, we'll put the taxi, whatever wing lights on. Let's I can turn around here. I'm not going to. I think I'll take a chance and turn without getting pushed over. Let's try it. Flaps. Brian, just tell me while you're there, is the sound okay? Brian, just looking at your comment there, they got it so right with these engines. I've watched a few real world flights and it definitely is spot on. And also with that hydraulic whine. And again to runway 32 left, I've got to cross runway 32 right. It should just be straight over there.
Approaching 3, 2, right.
Here's another thing I like about the Saab. You can bring up all your comms, nav, nav's over here. Sorry, over here. Very convenient. Taxi distance here, so while we're doing that, I'm going to set the indicated airspeed takeoff. That's going to be at 140. That's going to be the climb out. Watching a video the other day, real life, I forget where it was, they were leaving Charles de Gaulle. Those guys would taxi like it was a racetrack. It's always good to keep this DQ thing up until you depart. Probably going to change some things on this flight plan. I'm probably going to go straight for the Tiger waypoint, just to make it a bit easier. If ATC were on, they'd be vectoring you to the intercepts. Flaps are set. 2 settings. There. Let's line up.
Approaching 3, 2, left.
approaching our ramps here for the departure. And on comes our lights. We can turn off the taxi light.
On runway 32 left.
Okay, seat tight on. Bring the revs up to just over that 60%. Seat tight should kick in about now. There we go. We're going to lift off at about just about 110 knots. No call out in this aircraft, unfortunately. That's 100 knots. That's 110. Rotate. And positive rate. Gear up. Okay, we're going to go straight on autopilot for heading. An indicated airspeed comes on. So that needle will stay there. Okay, now we're going to probably have to do, what we need to do is to, let's have a look. Go straight to Tiger. Activate it. And open the nav. And it should turn. There we go. Flaps can come up. There's no detente sound for the flaps, which is a little bit of a nuisance. There we have Osaka. Into our airport. And the climbing. Now we can switch over from indicated airspeed to climb speed. So if we hit this button here, you'll see the bug move over to choice of 3. That one, that one, that one. But we're going to climb out at 180. So what happens now is the aircraft drops down to pick up speed, hopefully not in the mountain, and then up she goes. So let's have a look at our flight plan. It'll come back onto there, make sure our nav is on, make sure our GPS is on here, and it should start to turn eye open. It's climbing, that's the main thing. Yeah, the intercept's going to put me over to the left. We'll go right. I was taking a shortcut, not the best thing to do, but now let's have a look. Why aren't we heading direct to Tiger? Make sure that it's on direct to activate. Oh, there we go. Should do a left-hand turn now. Alright, transition height. Let's have a look. It's 14,000 turn off our seat top. And we can bring back our percentage very slowly. We've got to watch our revs. Let's come back slowly. Reset it back to 0. Check out our throttle setting. We can probably pull that up a little bit. Around about 80 it goes. Just there, about 77, 78. Now what we can also do is we can bring back our conditioned levers so that the prop revs can come back down. Now the book says about 1330 or 30%. I've seen some real life pilots bring it right back to about here. We'll just watch that to make sure it doesn't affect our rate of climb. It does a bit, see it's dropping off a bit. If it settles down, we'll be happy with that. That's about what, 300 feet a minute. Once we get up to our cruising height, we can also synchronise the engines. Yeah, there's this thing going off track again. It's send it to Mako. It should be right. Try this. Go to Mako. End of that. Activate it. Let's see. Probably check out African levels. Okay. There we go, we're turning over now. Now I've had some problems with that departure before. It doesn't surprise me. 10,000, now you can turn our landing lights off. Let our passengers up and about. See my auto down there. Put him down out of the way for the moment. Should come back on track now. Yep, that's better. can see this friction lever here. I believe I haven't used it much, but it's to lock your throttle in position. And I think probably also a conditional lever. That's our flap lever there. This is our seat-top controls. That's the arm left and right engine, and that's to set the percentage of power, I believe. Someone could probably correct me on that. It's transferred to the engines. These, of course, are our ADF frequency settings, and also here's our comms. Now, a lot of the controls that are down here, to me, are a little bit awkward to get to. For example, these switches for activating autopilot and yaw damper. And if you do disengage the autopilot, you've also got to flick a button, which I'll show you now on the joystick. It turns off the warning. That's that one there. V-sync, vertical sync you use to match with, I use it to match with indicated airspeed. It just synchronizes your vertical speed with your indicated airspeed. Something along those lines. I don't get to use it that much. Pressing that little Phillips screw there gets the yoke out of the way. Now, with the earlier models, LES models, the heading slave, I used to press the heading slave and it would make the heading synchronize with the heading. It doesn't do that anymore. But again, what I do is I use the heading assignment. And if you can see the bug now, I'm bringing the bug around and it's matching up with our current course. As I say, in the past, the heading slave used to move it out the way just to show. I don't think it works anymore. No, it doesn't. Okay, coming up 14,000, flight level 140. And we can switch over to standard. And we've got to go over to the first officers to do his. That side is very confusing if you don't look at the face on it. Over here too, that little lever you see there, that's that's the passenger's oxygen supply. Enunciators clear of any problems. Our panel, nav is on, climb is on. Oh, now when we reach 180, that climb button will go off, and what will happen then is that the engines will speed up at level flight unless there's major obstacles like headwind, strong headwind. I'm going to leave the prop RPMs at the moment at 1300 until we get up, and the same thing with the engine sync switch there. that's only in case you lose a prop. It automatically will feather the prop for you, but I didn't turn that on during the climb out, which I should have done. I remember to turn it on when we land. You've been waiting for this. Hello, Alaska. Yeah, I tell you what, mate, the only reason I'm using the mic is that a certain party has left for an hour or two, so we've got a quiet house for maybe another hour if I'm lucky, and just got to keep my fingers crossed. Yeah, but this is the first time in about 2 months that I've been able to use the mic, so I thought I'd make the most of it. I'm still trying to figure out why my hydraulics is looking the way it's looking. What I should also do, let's check our outside temperature, and it's -18, so look, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to put the prop in onto normal. Engine. Yeah, let's put it on. Put that on. Now, these are all the leading edge boots that you can have them on a cycle to warm them up, then turn off, warm them up, sort of thing. But we're not going through any clouds at the moment, so we should be pretty right. I'm still worried about that hydraulics. They're on auto. Can I override them? It won't shut up if I do that. It's just not registering. Seems like they're working all right. Just have to go with that. Fly guy. G'day. Yeah, it's always been working, Fly Guy. It's just that I haven't been able to use it because you know what it's like when you're streaming and you get family interruptions. They just sort of come in and start chatting away to you. The rest of the world's listening in. That's the hydraulics, Alaska. What happens is they keep pressurizing every so many minutes. And you heard when I switched over and went to manual that the pumps just keep going. But on auto, they basically look at the pressurization. It must be some sort of a valve operation, so that if the hydraulics seem to drop off in pressure, then the pump will automatically come on and pump it up again. Wow, Pilot Jack, g'day. It's taken me a while to get up to flight level 180 today, but we've got a little bit of a headwind here, see that? Looks like 21 knots. That's why it's probably going a little bit slow. Once it gets to the 180, you might see that the engine speed might, or the indicated airspeed might jump up to around about 180. On a good day, you should be able to get close to 200 knots, maybe a little bit over. That's your red line, of course. I never have to do red line. Would I like to help you fly it? Yeah, but you've got to wait till I finish here, mate. I can help you this afternoon, my time. It's coming up to 12 midday here. that buzz you heard, of course, is to say it's got 1,000 feet to go. Flying, you're stuck between the E175 and the Saab-340. Yeah, look, I like the 340 because leading edge simulations have done a damn good job with it. Yeah, the Coronado one, if you really want to know an opinion on which is the better of the two, unbiased, I like the LES. I've never bought the other one, Coronado. I've never been fussed on Coronado stuff. Their eye candy looks pretty good, but I've always felt their flight stuff is just not that good. If you really want to get an opinion, you talk to Avio Man, because he's flown. Well, I think he has. I think he's been in the first officer's seat. He's flown the Saab because I think he was working for Silver Air or somebody like that. And he'll tell you what his opinion is, and I think he leans more towards the LES. Oh, that's right, Alaska, you had to go off to your sister's bar mitzvah. Is that right? I think I got it right. Yeah, she's really slowly getting up to our cruising height. I could actually hit the climb rate over here and push it up, but you know, there's no point in pushing this old girl. There's no hurry to get up there, and it's not like we're going to be on descent all that soon. Just looking at my nav map. Actually, Pilot Jack, you know something? When you fly these old aircraft, you know, with the steam gauges, after a while you do get to like them. And let's face it, they were around for 100 years, and they've done the job. And also, even to this day on the modern aircraft, I think you do get the odd backup gauge just there for emergency purposes. And you can see the duplication here as well. You know, that was one I forgot to change before, but it's not critical. So 299 and 2. I wonder if it see on this particular one for the captains, you can push the barrow button and it'll change to inches or hectopascals. I only just found that out the other day. It used to drive me mad having to go over here and look at the first officer's one because he's got the duplication, and then come back again and send it in here. So it's just a little bonus. And of course, with this aircraft, you can fly VOR or NDB. I'm still learning the benefits of some of these buttons up here, but I know if we push that one, if we look down here at our, I never get the number in our VFIS, if we push this, you'll see the red, which is the ADF indicator. It disappears, so you can clear it away if you want to. Now, it's only going to point in that direction because it's just locked there. There's nothing active. We haven't activated, but we can activate it if we want to, and if there's a NDB on the way. I do use that a fair bit. I also use the VOR. As for example, now if I something I can do just to demonstrate. There's a VOR coming up at KRE, number 113, 113.7. it just so happens it's up. The switch between the active and the standby, all we do is push that little arrow underneath. There we go. Oh, sorry, that brings it up. That way, that brings the active up. The backup up. There's the active. And you see down below here the needle is moving already to show that it was no longer active. So with 113.7, that's the current one, we can also set that in nav2 without having to go all the way over to here to set it all up in that one. You can just use the common pop out to do nav2, and it's on 110.3 as well. So both of them are on it. And to change the numerals, you just use these ones down here. And that puts you into the standby, and then you flick it up to make it active. And here's your ADF in here if you want to set it. There's nothing around here in ADF at the moment. So nav1. Now the course towards that next VOR is still, I'm on the same course, and it's 237. So I can bring this up, but I can only, there we go, 237. We can set the course at 237. We're watching any of these needles go around. Bit of a scroll here, but just got to put up with that. Okay, so we've set our course on nav1 to that, so we don't need this anymore. Okay, now, because we're on nav, it should just automatically flick over when we select VOR. And there we go, if you look down here, there's the needle. So I can bring this up again. Moving them up out of the way a bit. And if you watch, I can make the aircraft turn away from VOR because the centre line is out of alignment. So to bring it back on course, we take it to the centre and the aircraft will correct itself and come back on the course. And you can see that here. Notice how the Garmin's changed over to V-lock as well. So it'll just come back on course by itself. Yeah, of course you can take into account things like crosswinds if it starts to move off course. Now that we're at flight level 180, you can see we've sped up a bit. We're up to 180 knots, and with that headwind of 025, I don't think it's probably going to get a lot higher than that. Okay, now to go back onto GPS, all I have to do is select that and go back. Now this also shows us that we're operating on the captain's side VOR. If I want to operate on the first officers, I click that one, and you can see that it's changed over to, it should go to VOR to nav. Now we're steering off the first officers VOR settings. Come back to the captain. We should be back on GPS. Double check here, we're not. Come over to GPS. We can click back onto it either in the GPS, in the Garmin, or we can do it up here. So back onto the GPS. You can always double check that by looking into the Garmin. Okay, now we better get ourselves set up for an approach here. Still got a way to go, but I like to keep in front of everything. And let's have a look. Got Navigraph. What we can do is we can go to route again. Where are we? Okay, there's our route now. Now I'm using both Navigraph and Little Nav Map, just something to do. And you can see here's our approach to Kagoshima. Now to bring up Kagoshima here, that's Romeo, Juliet, Echo, sorry, Foxtrot, Kilo. Hit that and hit that. And it should have shown up there on the left. Let's try it again. There we go. Alright, so we can look for our star already. Now, one of the waypoints along the way was at Ogojo. That's a great name, isn't it? And we can have a look at the arrival. Actually, Pilot Jack, no problem with the autopilot. Easy to use. Just got to remember on this one, you've got to know where it is, and it's down on the pedestal. I'll just show you very quickly. But while I'm down here too, I can flick on the prop sync here. Got to do that. There it goes. Yeah, here's your autopilot here. In this sort of situation, I find it better to assign it to a joystick button or something, because what happens is when you click the autopilot, hang on, get the brain thinking. The yaw damper, okay, the yaw damper comes on at the same time. I believe you can use the yaw damper in some occasions if you're not using autopilot. But otherwise, it's just like any other aircraft. Use those switches down there to flick them on and off. The only thing is, like I mentioned before, is when you flick off the autopilot, you'll get a warning, and the warning will not shut up unless you hit that red button. And you'll see that later when I'm going during the approach and I kick it out of autopilot. Now where was I? Here. Okay, this is going to be our approach. Don't scroll out so well. Oh, it is. It's out at the most. Well, here's the approach. We're going to be coming in from Spica to Demet to Perth to Ogojo. I don't know how you pronounce that. Probably sounds the same if you read it backwards. And we're going to be coming in here onto runway 16. Now this is going to be an RNAV approach. With Kagoshima. I'm just looking at another map. With Kagoshima, it's runway 16 or runway 34. 34 is the ILS. And what I just might do very quickly, because I get caught out on this all the time, using active sky, I get caught out with the weather changes on me time and time again. I'll hit the briefing and just, yeah, that should be right. Let's go to here. Direction 110 to 240. Okay. It looks like it's going to be 16, alright. And here, Canada runway 16. Okay, so we know 16 is an RNAV approach, which is in this way. Right, let's try our approach. Let's have a look. RNAV 16. because it's not a proper star approach, you get the vector type approach. So you get these three initial approach fixes. If you're coming in from the east, you might say, well, let's take the Ogo one all the way to Wazi, up the Wazi, and then do a left-hand turn and do the RNAV approach there. You can, if you want, come in and make it a long, straight in, long approach in. No, actually a long final. What am I going to do? Choices. Yeah. Let's have a look down here. Watts is 3,500 at Wazzy. So that'll be the initial approach altitude. Yeah, look, I think I might stick to a go. I'll have a look on the GNS. And see what it likes. Yeah, but first off, this is something that I want to show that you can do with the Garmin 530 when it comes to VNAV. Okay. So what we're going to look at again is we're going to go back to the approach. We arrive at the star. Come on, up you come. I'm going to click here anyway. Okay, let's have a look at this. Now what you see here, I don't know why I can't zoom out further on this. Let's be the one. But you can see if we are at 10,000 feet at Speaker, we could also be 10,000 feet or above at Demet. We could be 7,000 feet or above at Perth, at Ogo Joe. We've got to be just above 5,000. Now, looking there before, the actual initial approach altitude was 3,500. I like to write that down rather than flip backwards and forwards. We should also note that we've got a minimum descent altitude there of 1,610. We'll see what's the airport elevation is the runway is 906 feet, which is why probably I tend to use the radio altitude, which might do. See how we go. Okay, getting back to what I was going on about. The Ogo Joe. So we've got to be at 5,000 above there, but we've got to be at 3,500 for the approach. And if we go back, it's saying at Ogo there's 5,000, but it wants you down to 3,500 by Wazzy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to already start setting up the arrival, the star for Ogo in the Garmin, the G530. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to program it so that it will reach Demet at 10,000. From Demet on, I'm going to program it for 3,500. And that's because the final approach will be to Ogo, and I can activate the approach in the G530 from where I get to when I'm at Demet, or I can even do it at Speaker, because if you see Speaker, and Demet are at the same altitude. Clear as mud, eh? Okay, this is what we do. See how far down the track we are? Yeah, we're getting pretty close. There's your speaker. Okay, nav. First off, we push our console button there and we put in the altitude, which is going to be 10,000. Bit slow, but be patient. Now that is going to be mean sea level. Do we want it to be at 10,000 5 miles before or 1 mile before? It's up to us. We can choose that, but because it's going to be staying at 10,000 for until it gets to the next waypoint, which on the approach was Perth. I won't put any altitude, any nautical mile distance before we get to it. Okay, the speaker's the one. There it is. Now this is where we can fiddle around with it. If I leave it at 0 feet per minute, it won't show any vertical speed profile at all. It won't tell me when to go down. But if I start setting the descent speed to different settings, it's going to tell you when you should be beginning the descent. For example, 1,000 feet a minute from where I am right now, I can descend to flight level 10 in 30 minutes. Now obviously, if I come back and make the descent speed slower, you can see I'm at 600 feet a minute. I'd have to start in 24 minutes. If I go up to 2,000, it's 33 minutes. Now there's not a lot of difference between the high rates of descent. So what I usually choose is a fairly nice descent rate so the passengers don't suddenly feel like we're dropping out of the sky. So there it is. Now, that's our arrival. But after our arrival, we want our approach. Okay. So, we select the arrival. Hit enter. Tells us straight away, runway 16. So we hit enter. Look at our flight plan and you'll see speaker twice, a 0 rate. I don't know why it does that, but it's very easy just to, it's very easy to get rid of it. Just clear it. And you can see now we've got the arrival from speaker, Demet, Perth to Ogojo. But that's only the arrival, that's not the approach. So we can put the approach in as well. Select it. We're looking for the RNAV 16. We're going to come in at Ojo. Get that right yet, that pronunciation. And we'll load it. We're not activating it. So we'll look at the flight plan again. And you'll say, well, hang on a minute. Where is the waypoints after Ogogo into runway G516. That's where the G530 will not show it. It will only appear after you activate the approach. And I will activate the approach probably at Demon, or I can even activate it at Speaker, because the approach and the arrival is on the same route. Makes sense? Clear as mud. So what I normally do is I just leave up the VNAV just to keep an eye on the time. So basically we're all set up for the approach already. Now of course if we were using the other approach and or another approach, if we were using say runway ILS Y or Yankee or Zulu, we'd have frequencies to put in. For example, up there, approach courses. But because it's an RNAV approach, we don't have that. Now their decision height from that end is a bit different. It's only 200. But anyway, so going back to runway 16, got a altitude 719, okay? This is a radio altitude 719. To do that, hang on a minute. No, I'm confused with one of the other crowd. We can. I don't think it goes past 1,000. Just hang on a second. I'll try it anyway. 1610. I don't think it does. We push this button here. You look over here, and then we just hold it down. I don't think this goes past 1,000. Hang on a minute, pilot Jack. I'm just trying something here. I don't think it goes past 1,000. No, there you go. So the radio altitude would be the one to go with, but I don't think this has it. If it has, I can't find it. Anyway, just looking back here, Pilot Jack, I've never used Chatbox. I've actually used Navigraph charts, because if you're paying for Navigraph navigation, the latest updates, you can also use Navigraph charts. I use Little Nav Map most of the time, and simply because it's free. I'll bring it over and show you. So it gives you pretty well much the same. The only thing it doesn't give you is the arrivals, like you can get in Navigraph. But it does give you final approaches, right? For example, it provides you with the waypoints in for the final approach, and this is what I agreed we'd be doing. And you can see here that it'll even give you altitudes, published altitudes, all the way through. And once you activate the approach, not on this particular one, but on some of the others, it'll give you what the published speeds are as well. This is all for free. Obviously, it also relies on Navigraph to bring all the ACAR information up to date. And it does have a, what happens is if you start it up, it will tell you that it's downloading the latest ACARs. Very handy. I've been using it for years. Yeah, Pilot Jack, I thought that at the start too, that I do it on a monthly basis, and you know, it doesn't sort of hit the budget all that hard when you're doing it monthly. I know what some guys do is they take it out for a month, then they cancel, and they might join up again in 3 or 4 months to sort of try and bring them up to date. And in a lot of cases it will work. Now because this is something I should have remembered, because I'm looking at another 22 minutes to go, and that's wrong up there, I just fixed that. It's got 10,100, it's not going to make a lot of difference, but bring it back. Because I'm going to be descending to 10,000 feet, I must remember change my altitude setting here, or it won't go down. Now I'm probably being a bit premature, but there's no reason why I can't set it now, because we're going to be descending. If you forget that, it won't move. Pilot Jack, only 4 subs from 100. Jeez. Honestly, I don't look too hard at those subscriptions, because yeah, if I was streaming, you know, a couple of times a week like some of the guys, I suppose I'd be sort of looking close at that, but I'm just happy to do the odd stream, and people have a look, I'm happy. If they don't, well, I don't lose sleep over it. And yes, I noticed what you say there about Chartbox. It's only in the US. Okay for you, but I suppose you know, if you're quite happy flying around the US, it's good for you. But as you can see with me, I'm everywhere. And just another thing also with the G530, what actually happens is in the BSR, vertical speed, I'm not quite sure what the I should know it. I looked all this stuff up, and I think it's like a vertical speed recommendation. So you might have 1,200 feet per minute here as the profile. Ignore those figures right now, but as we descend, you'll see these figures change, and you might have a vertical profile of 1,200, but the recommendation might be 1,000. I find sometimes that it's a little bit confusing. I've set the recommendation here on the vertical speed, and just sort of by my own calculations, it seems like I'm not going to reach the waypoint at, say for example, at 10,000. I'm going to overshoot it. So I'm just a little bit suspicious of that. I don't mind dropping it back a bit, but sometimes, for example, you might see 1200 as a vertical speed profile and it'll be down to 700. And you think to yourself, 700? And then it does some strange things here which I'm not quite sure of either. It tells you again, as you're descending, to begin another descent in 2 or 3 minutes. So, not quite sure why it does that. Couple of outside views, eh? Now, one thing about the Saab, once you learn the systems, it really isn't that difficult an aircraft to fly. You'll find that, well, I'm not using the checklist, which is not like me because I usually like to use a checklist. You can see they're all available. So if we go into descent checklist, briefing, ice protection off, cabin pressure, flight instruments, and the bug CTOS set. Okay, so you can follow the checklists, but I've managed to follow it pretty closely without having to refer to it. It's not like flying the MD-80. You've pretty well got to have the checklists handy because you know the sequencing's all over the place. So another 15 minutes and we'll be on our way down. That hydraulic thing is still faulty. I don't know why that happened. Oh, Alaska. Yeah, you've got me. Hang on. What's my ETA? I would say at least half an hour, maybe just a little bit over. Pilot jack top speed. I'll just bring this out of the way. Top speed's in the region of about 230. There's your red line there, just a bit over, just a bit under 250. So it's a slow old bird, but it, you know, after all, it's a turboprop. The short haul commuter thing. It's been a very popular aircraft over the years. Rex Aviation in Australia have the biggest fleet. Mind you, a lot of those they picked up from a lot of overseas airliners that decided to swap over to ATARs and probably Dash 8s and things like that. So they readily grabbed them because they were the perfect aircraft to do country flights from coastal areas. As you know, in Australia, the 80% of your population lives on the coast. So that's where the major air traffic is, up and down the coast. But for inland people, you're not going to find Qantas or Virgin flying, Dreamliners out. So it's for commuter stuff. So Rex Aviation saw an opening, and they decided to grab up a lot of these Saabs, which they still fly to this day. The funny thing is, I noticed in the last couple of months or so, they've actually purchased or leased a number of Boeing 800s, and they are competing against Virgin Australia, Qantas on the coastal routes where the tube liners operate. And some of their fares, say from obviously introductory fares to get people from say Melbourne to Sydney, is something like about $70 one way. Cheapest to Alaska. If you are able, I'll be ready in at least 30 minutes if you want to help me and fly the Saab. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. After I finish this flight, I am going to grab a bite to eat because I'm starving. So, let's see. 1 o'clock our time. I'm just checking that. You're on the west coast. So east coast at the moment is 10:30. So am I right? You're only 8:30. So yeah, look, we may be able to squeeze something in. What I would suggest is we do it in Discord, maybe. See how it works, eh? Yes, so if I'm lucky enough to finish this about in another half hour or so, that makes it 1 o'clock my time. That gives me half an hour at least to have a bite to eat. So that makes it roughly in about an hour plus. We might be able to work out something. Now just keep in mind, if somebody comes home, which they're likely to, I'll see if I can use the mic. I'll just play this one by ear. We'll see how we go. But yeah, Discord, we'll see what we can do. You got any particular flight in mind? What'll happen, guys, is if a certain party walks through the door, I might have to flick off the mic just for a couple of moments to tell them to shut up. Florida, okay, but you don't want ATC. want ATC when you're trying to understand all the systems. It can get a bit complicated. Once you know the aircraft inside out, it's no problem. But you know, somewhere in, say, Florida, maybe something like Fort Lauderdale down to Key West, I don't think that's too far, is it? Well, Australia probably would be a little bit easier, because what we can do is we can just choose a coastal town and just go into one of the inland towns. It's the inland towns don't have ILS approaches. It's no, but that's not a problem. Let's see how we go. I've actually flown out of Miami over to Nassau. Is it Nassau? But it's probably better we do a pretty quiet little area. Okay, well, I'm just keeping my eye on this descent time. Temperature outside still -21. Okay, what I'll do quickly is we'll get him out of the way and bring up our active sky, and we'll have a look, see that they haven't, weather hasn't changed. What have we got? Well, there you go, 190 degrees at 5 knots. That's going to be a nice wind there, breeze. Bit of scattered at 4,000, broken at 10. Temperature outside 17. QNH is 1021. Okay, all right to go there. Simulator accidentally started it up. I'll make sure I'll end the task there. That'd be robbing my frame rates like mad. Okay, 3 minutes to go. What will happen here is, because I've assigned vertical speed to a rocker switch on my joystick, on the top left hand corner you'll see the numbers appearing like that now. See? Now, because I haven't activated vertical speed, nothing's going to happen. But that's how I can quickly see, instead of going down here and twirling this great big bloody knob here, which I've done and drives me crazy. So I've duplicated that, I've duplicated the headings, I've even duplicated not so much my modes, but my headings and my course settings. I've assigned them. That's them there. So what you see here, I'll move that again. What you see here is a duplication of that. So instead of having to come down here all the time to flick a heading knob, I've assigned it to a pop out so that it sits up on top there. You can see it all the time. And of course if you flick the headings, they appear up the top left hand side. Saves a hell of a lot of mucking around. Okay, what's happening here? Now watch this. It'll probably tell me to start descending. Remember, we've set it at 1200 feet a minute. See how this one is increasing up in feet per minute to match the 1200 profile? I suppose theoretically, when it gets to 1200, it should go there, but it didn't. Okay, descend to target. This is what we do. Hit vertical speed, top left. We take it to 1200 feet a minute. Sorry, and the aircraft's dropping. Okay, but what we now got to watch is, remember, there's no auto throttle. You have to remember, no auto throttle means you got to watch the speed. And what rate do we want to descend at? Well, anywhere between 180 to 200. I mean, if you're mad keen, you can have it at 240 knots, but gently does it. That's the hydraulics again. So gently done. Now, 180 is a little bit too slow, so I'll just pick it up a bit. I'd like to come up to, anywhere between 200 to 180. So if it starts dropping off too much, just bring up the throttle. Okay, now a couple of things to do. First off, we can go out of prop sync. Okay, we don't have to bring our condition levers up to max yet, but as we get down lower, we will. Now you can see the variation in this vertical speed half, I think, for recommendation. It's saying you should be at 1080 feet per minute instead of 12. Now that's, like I said earlier, that's where I find it a little bit confusing. Now in this particular case, if for some reason I do arrive at speaker at 10,000 feet before I hit the waypoint, it's probably not really going to matter, because my next waypoint at Dammit is 10,000 as well. But sometimes I've played around with it. This is what I fit to. Watch the top left corner, you can see I can bring the descent speed down to recommendation here, or close enough. Now, again, watching our speed down here. If it starts to get away, we just drop it back a bit. Now we've got minus 12 degrees for our antifreeze. We'll be able to turn that off soon. Yeah, see that variation? It's slight. So already we're down to 140. got a bit of a headwind. I tend to leave this up during descent because it helps here with the idle descent, which is that red line. And we can watch the descent through our flight plan. You can see speaker is where we're going to be at 10, and we're estimated to get there in just over 2 minutes. Distance of 8.6, so not doing too bad. Recommended vertical speed is bearable. And we're down to 12, flight level 120. How's that?
Altimeter setting.
No, it isn't. Or is it? Hang on, what's the level? Oh, it could be actually. 14,000. Oh, okay. And that should be 1021. And we won't leave the old first officer out of it. I can just see it. There we go. Okay, coming down nicely. We're at coming to flight level 110. Speed is still under control. Probably cut back just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Okay, that's just telling us we've got 1,000 to go. Come on, we're out of the way. There we go. Now as it levels off, all the information off here will dive off as far as target position and recommended rate and descended target. That should all disappear. The 10 will stay. MSL will stay. These won't change, but this should disappear. And of course, now that we look at that, that's good. We're just coming up at 10, and we're just doing the turn on speaker. Okay. Everything's going to level off. You can see everything's disappeared now. Speaker's still there, but it should disappear, I hope. Now, make sure we keep our speed, because we've leveled off. Got to watch their speed doesn't drop off, right? Now, because we're heading in towards the initial approach fix of Ogojo, whatever he calls himself, we want to be at 3,500 for the approach. So we're no longer descending, so we can put our 3,500 in. Okay? And because the arrival and the approach are going to be one and the same, I'm now going to switch over and I'm going to activate approach. And this is what we should see. Approach. Okay, and there we go. So that's our proper approach into runway 16. Okay, right, now we can go to VNAV again, and we want to be at 3,500. And we've got to go down, and what we'll do is we'll try and hit it right on the dot and not before, but we can. And all we have to do there is maybe, wouldn't it be nice if, say, 2 nautical miles before that Ogogo that we were at 3,500. The only trouble is that published doesn't like you to do that, but actually, it's going to be WAS. It's not going to be yoga. We want to be there at 3,500 at WASI. So it doesn't hurt if we're at that altitude before we hit it. So here we go, over to there. And we'll move this around until we get the one we want. There it is. Now it's saying if we want to keep that vertical speed profile of 1200, we've got 4 minutes before we descend. You know, I'm doing all this and keeping my eye on the speed because remember, again, there is no autopilot, no auto throttle. So there we go. We're set up now for the next approach. Vertical speed approach. With a vertical speed profile of 1200 feet a minute, which is quite pleasant as far as the passengers are concerned. Speed is just on 200. Let's have a look at our temperatures now. Down to -2, so we can start turning off all our anti-ice. Pumps to come off. Engines to come off. Now, that should do it. One thing I mentioned in my other videos on the Saab, you can actually take the GNS 530 and pull it over to another screen, which I normally do, but because of the exercise, I'm just going to leave it as it is. What I can do though is make it a little bit smaller. Take up so much room when you pop it out. Okay, now we're watching our descent again. We're set up nicely for 3,500. This is just going to be in the way. I've left room for the vertical speed rate to show up there. There we are, descend to target, hit vertical speed, and take it at 12. Watch our speed again, remember, no auto throttle, come back on the speed. And we're doing it fairly gently, but if you had a vertical speed profile of say 1600, you really would notice the speed up from your idle descent. See, now I'm managing to hold it on 200. Even to 1,200 feet a minute. Now when we get to Wazi, that'll be a left-hand turn for a long and final into runway 16. And all things being equal, I should be able to pick up the glide path. I've had a bit of a problem with this airport. It's probably just me. Now, because we're on descent, I've turned off the prop sync. What I should do now is put on the. I'll do that from over here. I'll put on the auto course. With the CTOT, I believe, and again someone could probably correct me on this, that you do put it on during descent, because if you land, if you got to do a go around, it's virtually having the same setup as if you're doing just an ordinary departure. I've been a little bit wary about it. I might try it this time. But I won't switch it on until we're well down. Okay, here we go now. Just looking at a little map that says that Perth should be at or above 700. Well, I'm not quite there yet, and already I've dropped down a bit, so descent rate I should have probably dialed back to 7. How close are we? 6.5. Got another 3,000 feet to go. I might just drop the descent rate down a bit and see what happens. Can always pick it up if it causes problems. Now I've got the speed at 180 knots. I'm going to try and keep it there. We should be just above 5,000 at Agojo, and then at Wazi, of course, is 350. 3,500 feet. And what I'm going to do also here is I'm going to set the landing speed bug as a guide, 110 miles. Sorry, 110 knots. Just watching here. 5,300. Yeah, we're not doing too bad. Have a quick look outside, eh? What I should have done. Lights on. Passengers seated. Always forget something. I don't think we need to look much further at VNAV. Just keep our eye on our speed. Or in fact we're below what we should be. And if ATC were directing us, that's just a warning to say 1,000 feet to go. My time is not bad. I've said that would be roughly around about half an hour. You can see your vertical speed recommendation has gone off the wire, off the clock, so to speak. But we're going to be doing a turn right now. So let's go over the flight plan and we'll watch what's happening. Going to watch my speed very carefully here. Taking my first set of flaps a minute. And we're going to be looking for the glide path. Sometimes it doesn't show up until you actually hit approach on this aircraft. Okay, we can take our first set of flaps right now and keep the speed at 160. Now really, we probably don't need this anymore either, so we can put him away and concentrate on our flying and our turns. That speed's dropping off a little bit too much. And we should be making the turn any second now. drop our speed off a bit because we're coming into long final. Then come back right down. Now I'm going to hit the approach button about now because I know sometimes it doesn't show. You can see here GS really stands for glide path, not glide slope. We can take another flap setting. See if it captures it. It should. I think our airport's ahead of us there somewhere. Yeah, there it is there. Yeah, speed up a bit. Don't let it drop off too much. Let's hope she captures that glide path. There it goes, it's flashing. So we're going down, so back off on the throttles, otherwise we'll speed up. Why did it go dark all of a sudden? I didn't do that, do I? Okay, speed is certainly. That's just some sort of altitude warning. Alaska, this is where I mess up, mate. And I tell you what, this aircraft is a little bit of a handful when it comes to landing. You've really got to watch yourself. Okay, we've too far out from the runway, so let's get our gear down. And again, the hydraulics pushing the gear down. I'm putting the seat toggle on. That's another altitude warning. Not quite sure why, what that's all about. A little low, a little bit of side wind there, look at that. Okay, last set of flaps. And that should bring us down to flaps 20. Again, it would be nice if it made a sound, you know, and a daytime click. Okay, here we go. And we can bring up the yoke. And let's go forward on our condition levers. Power back a bit. Don't let it get in too fast. What I try and do is keep that needle just under the bug. So we're coming in at 120 now. So we can maintain 120. Okay, my aircraft.
Approaching 16.
Now watch our speed doesn't drop off too much or how high. Crosswind by the look of it. Yeah, a little bit of a crosswind pushing me around.
Wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope.
I can
Terrain,
turn that
terrain,
on, actually.
terrain, terrain. Wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide
Hands
slope,
are full though.
wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide slope, wide.
Yeah, now she shuts up. That's what I like. Okay, that's our reverse coming in to play. acceptable landing there. Flaps up. Welcome to Kagoshima. And what's ahead of us? So guys, how'd you like them apples, eh? Not a lot of things to switch off, you know, once you've landed. The auto caution at the top switches itself off. When I turn off here, I'll just check to see whether the C-top turns itself off. Somehow I don't think so. I'll probably have to turn it off. We did it, Dora. Yeah, we did it. Okay, let's just pull up here for a second. And I'll have a quick squeeze down the bottom. Yeah, you've got to turn that off. And there we go. And not much more to do. A lot less to fiddle around with on this aircraft. Again, putting these up helps you do the steering. Sorry, the taxi. You can't park at the gate with this thing, so what you doing? Airplane, what are you doing? It's in a hurry to pull up and turn off. Where can I go? Hang on guys, we've got someone home. Hang on. I'm on the bike, okay?
Oh, can I close the door now if you don't mind, please?
Can you what?
I'd like the door
Close the doors,
closed,
yep,
or
yep.
you just put it on silent now, okay?
Yeah, close the doors. I'm just about done. Gee, why you got that look on your face? Okay. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? Oh look, I will pull into a... I think we're down the end here actually. Oops, we're a mile or two. No, I'll pull into a gate. Really doesn't matter. Scratches on the windscreen, that's, and all the dirty marks, finger marks. It's pretty good the way they've done it. I think, if I remember right, this is freeware I may have downloaded at some stage. Oh. Okay, that sets the brake. Now what I might do is, before I close everything down, I'm going to just drop the props down to down there. I'm going to have a look and see what that landing was like. Hope you don't mind. Here we go. I'll get him out of the way. Let's have a look. Yep, from there. Okay. Now, by the way, there's no sound replay on this for some reason. Hi, Orlando. Didn't see you there before. I was too busy. Yeah, it sounds a bit funny without any sound. I don't know. It's something that LES decided. How's this approach, eh? A little bit lopsided, probably a crosswind. Down goes the nose. Sure. And up, finally. And the reverse props have come in now. Oh, it's okay. I've done worse than that. Have a quick look from this angle. Yeah, see where that wind just caught me just a little bit there. Bit of a dip in the runway, eh? Oh, I don't think so. Alaska. Someone just came home, mate. I got the doors closed and I'm already starting to sweat. Okay, let's, where were we? Outside, weren't we? Okay, let's pause that, go back. And we'll just have a, we won't look for that one. We'll have a look at this one. What's that? Oh yeah, it was okay. And we'll just flick it, we'll go back. Just a couple more, won't be long. Okay, let's try it from the run, from the what do you call it, tower. Yeah, you certainly miss the sound on this on the replay. And down we go. Oh, that nose wheel was a bit late coming down. Okie doke. Let's have a look. That's about it, isn't it? Go inside. I won't go through all the procedures here, but normally what you do is you go up here and you turn off the pitot heat. You flick this over to close. You take off the emergency lights. I should have turned off the taxi. The wing lights off. We can turn off our seat belts and we can stay on just the nav light, okay? And then all we do is we cut back on the condition levers and everything goes off, right? So we don't need that anymore, so we go back up here again. And we've still got our nav stuff on. And what I usually do now is I bring over the support. But sometimes like that, you see it won't work. So what I have to do is actually turn off the batteries, and then I think it works. I know it's made a lie of me. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. You just can't bring it over like that. Oh, hang on a minute. I know what usually does allow you. If we undo the door, bring the stairs down. Oh, that's got to move. Bring the stairs down. Drop them down. Move that out of the way. Now I think it works. See that? Yeah, you've got to have the stairs down to bring it over. So then if you go back into the cockpit, because everything's turned off, but if you want to, you can put the external power on again, and then you can put your batteries on again. And it all comes back to normal. Stop those things from making a noise. And there you go. So you've got your power back on. Everything's back on and working. Thanks, Alaska. Anyway, guys, it's been going for nearly 2 hours. And thanks to everybody who's joined me in chat there. I'll run through the names. Brian, Alaska, of course, Fly Guy, Pilot Jack, still scrolling down, so just seeing who else could have shown up. I know Orlando did. I just saw the message from Orlando. Damn it, Alaska, go to bed. Your mum's going to hit you. Oh, okay. We'll be around to watch that. And that's about it. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope for those who wanted to learn a little bit more about the Saab and the VNAV. Of course, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can do all your calculations and just take your own time at descents and speeds and everything like that. But it's there to use if you want to, which is a lot more than what I expected originally when I first came across the 530. The 430, not quite as easy to use as that one. And then of course we jump up to the 1000, that's a whole different ball game. So again, hope you guys got something out of it. So until next time.